Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to this special feature. I'm your host Ashish Bhandari and today we are going to talk about the importance of baby car seats in securing the future of your babies. When it comes to keeping your little ones safe on the road, a baby car seat is non-negotiable. Statistics show that car accidents are a leading cause of injury and death among children, but using a properly installed baby car seat can significantly reduce the chances of fatality. While several countries mandate the use of baby car seats, unfortunately, there is no such legislation in India. To tackle the issue of insufficient awareness regarding the usage of baby car seats in India, Fortis Fireside is heading a public awareness campaign titled The Safest Lap in collaboration with Kiko and LifeCell. The hashtag Safest Lap initiative helps new parents understand the importance of baby car seats, making baby safety a top priority. We believe that no baby should be a victim of negligence and carelessness. Joining us today are two esteemed guests, Dr. Raghuram Malaya, Director Neonatology, Fortis Fireside, and Mr. Rajesh Bohra, CEO Artsana India, Kiko. Thank you for joining us. So without further ado, let's just dive in. So holding your baby in your arms during car travels is extremely unsafe as it can lead to severe injuries and even fatality in case of an accident. Dr. Malaya, I would start with you. Could you elaborate on the physiological implications of how holding your baby in your arms is unsafe during a car travel, even for shorter trips?
Ashish, I think it's a very good, very relevant question to ask. This is a very common practice that people do in today's world, especially in our country, where there is no law regarding the use of baby car seat. Most parents and the families, both of them usually think that it's very safe to carry the baby in your arms just by holding the baby on your lap. But research has shown, and a lot of data from across the world has very clearly shown that this is very dangerous for the baby. Even in our own setting, when somebody is trying to hold the baby, there is no restraint when you hold the baby in your arms. Say for example, when an adult sits in a car, you restrain yourself by using the seat belts, and that's what actually protects you in case of, even if it's a minor mishap or an accident, that's what protects you as a person. When you hold the baby in your arms, the arms is not a good restraint to hold your baby in place. So obviously if it's a huge impact, then it's obviously going to cause the baby to get thrown off. But even in a small incident, like even a minor braking incident, the baby gets thrown off. And this has happened a number of times. It's just not which is recorded. We have seen it in practice as well. In our own practice, we've seen babies getting injured while they were being in the arms. And again, these were not major accidents which happened. It was like a sudden minor braking event, or somebody swerved off the road and the babies got thrown off. And luckily in our cases, it was not a major incident, but the babies did get injured. It is almost impossible to restrain your baby in your arms in a car, even in the event of a very minor mishap or a minor braking event. I don't think it's the speed at which the accident happens, the impact happens. Even smaller, you may be just traveling inside the city, you may be just driving to your grocery store, you may be driving to the hospital. In fact, these incidents happened while they were driving to the hospital to see us. So I think it's very important to understand that your arms cannot function the same way as what a seat belt would do. And obviously a seat belt cannot be applied for a baby because seat belts are meant for adults. So in fact, it's not only for babies and toddlers, but it's also for older kids, almost up till about 4.5, till they reach about 4.5 feet or 5 feet, your seat belt doesn't work well for you. So even if you don't use a baby car seat, which is the smaller ones, you should at least try and use a booster seat for these people. But in babies, it is even more important because they're extremely fragile and they can get thrown off, and the impact for them is much higher. And I think what I've just told makes sense as to why you should use a baby car seat and restrain your baby. That's the only form of restraint that will keep your baby safe. Arms, although they may be very safe for you to keep your baby in your lap at home, in the car, in a moving car, it's definitely not the correct method to protect your baby.
I completely agree on that. Mr. Bohra, I would like to turn to you now. Could you explain to our viewers how a proper usage of a car seat can actually prevent these injuries, these mishaps, and protect our babies in the car?
Thank you very much for the question, and I would actually take it from what Dr. Malaya said. In fact, he raised a very pertinent question, and he talked about a certain amount of data. we from Arsana India, Kiko, being world specialist in the baby care products, we understand, and there is a research that talk about, and I'll give you one data when Dr. Malaya was mentioning that in a minor jerk or restraint brakes, or let's not talk about a big impact of accident, what could be the speed of the baby. So I'll give you a data. Let's say a baby which is just a 15 kg of weight and the car's moving at a 50 kilometers per hour. In case of a brake, the baby weight becomes, when it is moved into the action, is 416 kilogram. Now 416 kilogram, can anybody, any of us can hold in our lap? Absolutely not. And this is where these mishaps and the situation happens. So for us, we understand your lap or your hug is the safest thing that you have for your love and care, not for travel. For travel, you need to have a child restraint system, which is, which is very, very apt that we talk about in these things, as we say. The correct uses, if I talk about, I think there is one good thing that is happening is that the government is taking some action in terms of bringing some gradual way moving towards the laws in this part. So today you have good amount of car seats that we talk about with ISOFIX restraint system. So maybe we should look at those car seat, and the correct uses, like while traveling, even for a smaller thing, please ensure that you have your baby put into the car seat properly attached with a safety harness, and I think you're done.
Great. Well, it's indeed very important to use the car seat properly to secure our babies in the car. Dr. Malaya, from your expertise in neonatology, I want to ask you the importance of rear-facing car seats in these days.
So, Ashish, I don't think it's so much to do with neonatology. It's just to do with common sense, actually. There's a lot of misunderstanding about why one should use a rear-facing car seat, and one of the things that most of the parents tell us is, in a rear-facing car seat, because we cannot see the child and the child cannot see us, there is no interaction with the baby. But the reason, there's a absolute physiological reason why a rear-facing car seat is very important to be used. Normally, they say you can use it up to about 2 years. But the recommendation is always that as long as you can keep the baby rear facing, it's a much better way of protecting the baby. And the logic is very simple. Infant or a toddler, if you compare the proportion of the head to the body, is much higher. So the weight on the neck for an infant or a toddler is much higher than it is for an older child. And obviously when you do have an impact, normal tendency is for you to move forward. And that's how you get the whiplash injury and you get the injury to your spine and your neck. And that is what causes the maximum amount of problem. In the rear facing car seat, as you can sort of common sense dictates that your back support is at the front of the car when the momentum shifts to the forward. So the baby is very secure in this. So the neck will never move and the neck is fixed properly. Of course, you need to use the correct size car seat with the headrest being in the correct place for the baby as well. But it is very, very safe for the baby. And that's the reason, that's the logic. I hope it is clear. It's not to cause inconvenience to people, and people think it's a wrong thing to do because you cannot see the baby cannot interact with you. And obviously not so much when the baby is like a tiny little baby, but as they get like 6 months, 1 year, they would like to interact and play with people. But for the sake of safety, I hope what I've told now makes complete sense as to why you should use a rear facing car seat. The idea is to try and prolong. Normally they say around 2 years is what you need to keep, but a lot of people do recommend that as long as the baby fits in, and if the sort of place allows, even at 2.5 years, 3 years, it's better to use a rear facing car seat. That is mainly to secure the baby's head and the neck and the spine. And unlike what people think that car seats are actually dangerous for these, it does the contrary, which it actually protects the baby.
Great. Mr. Vora, a question for you coming from a new father. There's so many options available in the market, so many brands, so many options. What do you recommend are the most critical factors one should look at when we are looking at a car seat?
So you're absolutely right. I think in India, especially the country that we're talking about, since there are no formal laws at this point in time, so the customers are not aware, and in fact the brands are not able to speak so much about it. So of course there is a lot of confusion as to what is the right car seat, how to choose the car seat. And I will say that as I said in the previous part also, there is a considerable amount of initiative is taken by the government. If you would notice that over last few years, all the new car seats that are coming into the market are coming with ISOFIX car child restraint system. Now, what this is doing is that India is moving towards this system. So the first thing that you need to see is that the car seat that you choose should have a ISOFIX car system. So there is a latch which is much more easier to connect to. Okay, now what is this ISOFIX? And Dr. Malaya also talked about it, particularly what is a rear facing, etc. when you talk about. So ISOFIX system, unlike the previous system, talks about height of the baby. So you need to have the car seat which is as per the height, not by only the weight. Height and shape is much more important. So the car seat starts at the 40 centimeters and goes up to 150 centimeters. So roughly 4 feet and 9 inches or so. So there are certain and clear-cut guidelines from 40 to 70. You should have a rear facing seat, because that's the time you, as we talked about, the baby's head to bottom, the weight distribution is 1/3. So that's the kind of weight you have on the head of the baby. So their neck is much more weaker, and the entire weight, in case of an impact with this rear facing, it needs to protect you from the impact, and the entire shock absorbing mechanism, form, etc. that is applied into the part with the support for your neck, shoulder and the head. So it is very, very important we understand the right car seat from a reputed, I would say, manufacturer, not just some branding. Please don't take car seat just for a heck of it. Okay, today I am sure people are taking car seat for safety. Look out for the right car seat which is growing with the age also, because there are today with the change of time, we have multi-age car seat which grows with the growth of the baby. So use those car seat, and the user manual and everything is pretty simple. So till what age you need to be rear facing, till what age you need to remove the safety harness, I mean there's a belt in between. So those kind of a thing. There are a lot of confusion what car seat you need to look at it. There is good amount of information. I would suggest come to kiko.in and you will be able to find a lot of queries, and most of the answers you will be able to get there.
Well, talking about
just if I may come in there, I think it's a very important point. Like you were saying, new parents would have it much more easier. The car seats are so much more easier to fix now. I used the car seats about 20 years ago, and they were like a nightmare to use. You had to take the buckle, try and wrap it around the car seat and make them to get them to fix. Every time you had to remove it, it was a nightmare. Every time to fix it, it was a nightmare. Everybody used to think it's actually a punishment. But today, I was just seeing the new car seats and the ISOFIX system. It works so beautifully. It's like a 2-minute job. So I don't think there's any excuse for people not to use car seats. And another important point, I think again data from all across the world has shown, obviously the first step towards securing your baby is to use a car seat. But then that's just not enough. You have to use the correct car seat, and you have to secure the baby correctly in the car seat. And that itself is a technique. So when I meet so many of my patients and they keep telling me, oh, we are finding it difficult, a lot of parents do find it difficult. They don't know exactly how to fix the car seat and how to secure the baby in the car seat. There are a lot of technical issues that has to be dealt with, like the height of the headrest should be correct. So a lot of the car seats come with height adjustment options as well, which you have to make sure that the baby's head is at least 1 inch below the where the headrest ends. So there are a lot of technical things. And I think this is something, as people involved in sort of advocating people to use car seats for the safety of the baby, we should make more effort to try and educate people about this. The first starting point is of course using the car seat, but also trying to use it correctly is very important. If you use the car seat and don't use it correctly, the advantage or the protection that you get diminishes quite a lot.
Okay, so information, the correct information and awareness, are the key elements when talking about the baby's safety in the car. Talking about information, there is a lot of misinformation as well. A lot of misconceptions and myths regarding car seats. Dr. Malaya, I want to come to you first. What are the most damaging myths that you've ever encountered, and how do you want to educate our viewers by busting all of them?
So I think the first myth is the use of car seat itself. Everybody feels, and this is not just me but across everybody in India mostly, most of the parents as well as the extended family tells all the parents that using a car seat is not advisable for a newborn baby. But across the world, and all the data is very clearly shown, even if your baby is born premature, I'm a neonatologist that deal with a lot of premature babies who get discharged home at 1.8, 1.9 kgs when they're born. Even them, we recommend them to use the car seat. The only thing that saves your baby is the car seat. It doesn't matter how small your baby is. So the common reason why they're told not to use the car seat is because they feel that if you keep the baby in the car seat, damages the baby's head and the neck and the back. The back gets affected, which is contrary to all the scientific evidence that is available. It in fact is the opposite. Like I explained to you early on, and I don't want to go into it again, but the only thing that protects your baby's head, neck and the spine is the car seat. So this, I think, is the biggest myth, and it takes a lot of effort for us to keep explaining to people that you should use the car seat. We are definitely seeing a trend of people changing and trying to use the car seat. We've probably not reached the point where they should start using the car seat from the time they discharge the baby from the hospital. The second sort of added on myth to that is that if you're driving inside the city, you don't need to use a car seat because you're not going to have a huge impact. And like Mr. Vora clearly explained, that even at minor speeds, even the sudden braking can cause enough momentum for the baby to fly off and have a huge impact, which can cause a problem to the baby. So I think the moral of that is, it doesn't matter whether you're going on a long drive, you're driving at high speed, you're driving within the city, you're coming to visit us in the hospital, ideally you should use the car seat. And obviously the other important myth is about the rear facing car seat, which a lot of people feel that, although the manufacturer has told we want to see our baby, so we're going to turn the baby's car seat around, which I think is not serving the purpose, because although the car seat has a restraint and a belt, it doesn't protect the baby's head and the neck. And like we explained earlier, the head and neck is much heavier, so it moves much more at a higher momentum when there's a car crash. And if it's a forward facing, there is no support for it. So you're more likely to get serious injuries for your baby. So I think irrespective of what people say, the grandparents say, the extended family says that you have to play with the baby in the car seat, I think safety comes first. I think it's very, very important that you keep the baby in the correct position, which is the rear facing car seat for an infant and a toddler.
Mr. Vora, you want to add something?
I think he's covered most of the point, and they're very, very correct. I would say from the other side of the part is that for sure, first is that I don't need a car seat, my hand is the safe, which we discussed. It is not. Scientific data and everything suggest against it. Second, it's very, very complicated to fix a car seat. Yes, it was a very complicated some years back. With the new car safety system, ISOFIX child restraint system, it has become very, very easy. It's just two latch. You just click it and click out. It's just a simple thing. In fact, now most of us seen the Hollywood movies and all, where when the parent comes out of the car, they hold the baby in the hand and they come in the restaurant with that car seat. It is that convenient today if you start using it. Okay, so I would say that it's not uncomfortable anymore. And one more thing, it is very cumbersome when my baby start feeling suffocated or is not able to feel comfortable. It's not the case anymore. Today's car seat come with a lot of cushion, huge amount of support, like let's not talk about only scientific, which we discussed, to support the neck, spine and the entire body. That's for given. But in terms of comfort, cushioning, padding, everything is very, very aptly done, designed with the baby's body shape at that point in time. So, I mean, the only thing that I would say, the myth is that I don't want to use it, so I'm finding the excuse. Absolutely, there is nothing. Just try it once. And if you want to play with your child, I would say play at home. Car is for your travel. Please use car child restraint system for travel. At home, use the lap. That's the best you can do.
Absolutely.
The other, some of the other things that we come across also, one of the things that is usually raised is the cost of the car seat as well. But in today's world, when you look at the amount of money that people spend for so many other things, say for example even toys, some of the toys are probably more expensive than the car seats. I think it's a very sound investment for all parents to do, and it is something that I definitely encourage in my practice. We do have antenatal classes for parents before the baby is born, just trying to guide them as to what they should do. And one of the important things we tell all these parents during that time is to make sure that you invest in a good car seat as well. And it's very important for them to get into the habit of getting into the car seat from the day one, from the time they're getting discharged from the hospital. Again, another common complaint that a lot of parents come and say, my child doesn't want to sit in the car seat anymore. But of course, it is like what practice makes you perfect, or what is familiar is what you get comfortable with. If you don't get your child in the car seat for the first 3 to 6 months and then you expect your child to sit after 6 months, obviously it's going to be an Herculean task. So I think from that perspective also, it is extremely important. Whatever habits you want your child to do, you need to start it at the earliest possible time. And I think the same thing holds good with car seat. So if I give you my own example, my first child was born abroad, where it was legislation, you had to put the baby in the car seat. So we carried on with the same tradition when we had the second child as well, although the child was born in India. And we made sure that he sat in the car seat from day one. He would never step into the car without a car seat. If the car seat was missing, he would not sit in the car. So it's just a question of getting them used to sitting in the car. I think that's extremely important, that we get the baby into the habit. If you get them into the car seat on day one, most babies are so comfortable with it. And like Mr. Vora said, the car seats today are made so ergonomically based ones, and they're so comfortable for the baby. Most of the children are very, very comfortable in it. So I think it's very important for them to start doing it from day one and not find an excuse for not using the car seat. I think cost, like I said, it is not such a major cost, it's not such a major investment. And you do get what are known as convertible car seats, which if you invest once, you can continue till the child is 6 or 7, 8 years. So you can convert them from a rear facing to a forward facing. The same seat converts, so you don't have to buy them second time around. You get car seats which can be fixed onto your pram. They work as a pram as well, so you don't have to invest into a pram. So you just need to think about it. I think we are at a point where that awareness has to come in. Most people can afford to buy the car seat, but I don't think they're aware of how important it is to use.
It's about prioritizing safety over leisure.
Yeah.
And
I think the awareness,
them,
what he rightly said is about awareness. It's not about the cost. I would say cost is not even a parameter. Today, the amount of money that we talk about, that we spend on not just toys or many other things, on our phones, which we change every year, and which is not even, which is just a showcase thing. This is a safety. I mean, safety of a child. I mean, it's a totally, please.
I think it's a cultural issue of I think 30 years ago, if you had told people to wear a seat belt, people were not ready to wear a seat belt.
Feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but even now, today, in the back rear seat of a car, wearing a seat belt is not a notion, because
one should always do it.
Yes.
I have no idea why people feel in the back seat you're not going to get hurt, in the front seat you're going to get hurt. It makes zero sense to me. Most countries, most laws in most countries, apart from a few developed countries, they do make a law that everybody should wear the back seat. But I was just making a reference to a point where 35 years ago, if you told people you need to wear a car seat, even in the front seat, nobody wore a car seat. In the 80s and the 90s, nobody wore a car seat. It was like a cultural change. But once it became legislation and it became law that you have to wear it, in the next few years, now you don't see anybody driving without a car seat. So without a seat belt. Like you correctly said, the rear seat belt also, whenever it becomes legislation, which I think it is.
It is already there. It's not a legislation. It's a kind of advised, and in all the new cars that are coming, even the rear car seat, till such time you wear a rear car seat, it keep alarming. Yeah.
Finally, talking about, as we discussed, the legislation, talking about the law. How do you think the healthcare professionals and the car seat manufacturers can come together to raise the awareness, as we are trying to do right now here, about the correct usage of firstly the usage of car seats, and then the correct usage of car seats, especially in the regions where there is no legislation?
I think that's a tough one, but I think once parents realize that it is for their own child's safety, it has to be a voluntary action which is coming from the parents. In the very beginning, we have been trying to raise awareness. We have been writing to the ministries as well. Obviously, I think it's very difficult to change and bring about legislation, especially because India is a very diverse country. There are a number of people who can afford car seats. There may be a small proportion of people who may not be able to afford a car seat. But generally as a rule, if you can afford a car, then you should be able to afford a car seat. And that is the logic that will have to apply at some point in time. But I think right now it is important to raise awareness among people, which is what we are trying to do by this whole campaign along with Hindustan Times as well. It is to get people to be aware of the car seat. I think the first step would be to raise awareness, and then obviously along with it to use the car seat correctly. For it to become legislation, I'm not sure how easy it is going to be. It may take 10 years, it may take 20 years, but I think we have started on the right track and we need to pursue with it. And we advise everybody, like I said, from even before the birth of the child, we advise most of the parents. And it is something that every individual has to do in their own capacity. As healthcare professionals, as companies which do this, we should raise awareness among people. And once that happens, people will start using it, because I think it is a no-brainer. There's no question of having an option of not using it. Everybody should use it, and we have to advocate people to use it.
Mr. Bora,
Yeah, I think I must say this change has to start when we say be the change you want to see in others. And this is where I would really appreciate and thank Dr. Malaya for this huge initiative that I know Dr. Malaya has been really saying this is a must that we need to have. And so they spoke to us at times and said we will be more than happy. And what you see today, hashtag the safest lab in association, and I would say largely brainchild of Dr. Malaya, who has built it up, and with HT Lifestyle, that we are kind of talking about this as a starting point of discussion, so to say, on this topic, which I would say is really good first baby step, as you call it. But yeah, clearly it's a long journey, and we are onto it. And I think small momentum, I mean, what you talk about, small steps takes build the momentum, and we are in that direction. And what I see with this, first and foremost on this part, that when the medical fraternity believes in it and they will educate their patients to use it, I think it will be a no-brainer that the success ratio or the adaptation can be very fast. That's the first part. Coming to the legislation part, I agree it's a long path, but I'm very happy to see that government taking some small steps. So it's made mandatory for all new cars to be sold in India to have a ISOFIX car safety system, which is a step in that direction. And with the new age parents, those who are coming, I think first 6 months or 1 year, with the amount of travel that they're doing, I think it will be absolutely essential for them to consider car seat with or without law. I think it should be there.
It has to come from within, that the safety has to be the foremost priority.
Yeah, so the law is going to take time, but I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think once you explain to parents the misconception that they have about carrying the baby in their arms, once that has been sort of allayed from them, it will become, most of the parents, once you explain to them, they are willing to use it. It is not that they don't want to use it, but there have been so much misinformation, like whatever has been told by people. Oh, 20 years ago we all traveled with a baby in our arms. Nobody actually told us you need to use these things. But the world has changed. Like Mr. Vora said, that cars have changed, the speeds have changed, the roads have changed. There's so much more rush on the roads. You may be the best driver, somebody can come and hit you from behind. You may have not done anything wrong, but these things are going to happen. Car traffic accidents rates have increased so much in the recent world. You have to take everything into context and say that, oh, this was how we did 25 years ago and we continue doing the same. You have to change with time. And most people are willing to change. I think mainly it is to do with awareness. So where we come in, I think both the car manufacturer, the baby car seat manufacturers, we as healthcare professionals, is to sort of get these people to understand the importance of using the car seat, to increase the awareness of using the car seat and the benefits of using the car seats, and to try and allay those fears that they have about the baby's head not being safe, the neck not being safe, the baby is more comfortable in the godi. Just today I was explaining to a parent who was traveling back that the baby was vomiting through the journey. I told them, why do you not take the baby in a car seat? Because if your baby is moving all over the time, all over the place, you do tend to get more problems with these things. So there are simple things and they don't actually are not aware of it. Once I explained to them, he said, "Oh, I'm actually coming back. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and buy a car seat for my next travel." So I think it's very important for them to understand this. And obviously, we will try and work with the government as well, and we'll write to them. We are in the process of interacting with them to try and see, if not making legislation, at least from their perspective, to increase the awareness.
Great. Thank you so much for your time and your beautiful insights, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this discussion, it's evident that a baby car seat is the safest lap in your vehicle. So, let's prioritize the safety of our little ones on the road by using a baby car seat every time we hit the road. It's simple yet crucial step in safeguarding the future of our most precious passengers. Thank you for joining us for this special feature. This is your host Ashish Bhandari signing off for the day. Take care and always use the safest lap in your car.